Well, hi, Louise.
I was waiting for you to say hi.
I was getting my book together to show on YouTube. We are discussing Susan Kiyo Ito's I Would Meet You Anywhere, and
Getting close to the end of this.
getting close to the end. We've got guest room, separation, and like a heartbeat. And boy, they were sad chapters. The guest room was about
Mm,
Yumi calling Susan saying, "Do you have an extra space?" Because she hadn't come to stay with her since she'd gotten married and had her two daughters.
yeah.
And she was coming to the area because, hello, her brother died, that she never told Susan about. Susan had an uncle nearby and never knew.
Yeah. And she even referred to her in there as I'm staying with a family friend
Mm-hmm.
once
Mm-hmm.
again. And
Once
Susan's
again.
like, I would have liked to know my uncle.
Yeah. And
So
then
she,
the whole stay there too. The Molly, the older daughter, saying,
oh,
um, "Who's your dad?"
yeah,
Um,
that was great. Out of the mouths of babes. She
yeah,
was like, so who,
I want to know. I
yeah,
want to know,
kicking the
who,
back of the seat in the
yeah,
car. And Susan's like, oh my God, maybe this is going to be it. Good question. And she's still nothing.
nothing. And in fact, then the chapter ends with saying, "But it would be the last time my children would ever see her." Like,
Yeah.
ooh,
Yeah. Really harsh, right? Because she
mm-hmm.
really was a good grandmother to them there, enjoyed them, watched them while she went away for a
Right.
writing
Susan went to a
night.
writing retreat.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so Yumi was like, I'll stay with them and did and had a great time. But then that was it.
There was one part where she said, her daughter said, well, who's my real grandma? Or
Mm-hmm.
you're my real grandma. And Susan wondered where she got that language. And I had that experience with my son. He asked my adopted mom, my mom that I was raised with, he asked her, oh, so are you not my real grandmother? Like he was figuring it all out. And that started a whole thing with she and I, as you can imagine, like a whole, I've done something wrong somehow.
Right.
But I never knew where he got that language either. It's funny. This is just it comes and the kids are very blunt. Well, who's the real person? Who's this?
Yeah,
Who's
well,
that?
they know, they understand, oh, okay. There is a real one out there somewhere.
Yeah, that hit me a little bit. Then we go into separation, right?
Yeah, Susan joins an adoptee group of other Asian American adoptees and gets close to one of them.
Mm-hmm. I thought this was kind of interesting, Sarah, because we were just talking about community, you and I, and she had known adoptees and she had known, you know, Japanese people. She had known all sorts of different people, but she had never known people who were like adopted and half Japanese or
Mm-hmm.
half
Or half
Asian
Korean or
or
half,
half
yeah.
Korean. And now she had a community that was so similar to her, which I was thinking, as we always talk about, how important community is.
Mm-hmm.
Just having your own community, whatever it fits for you. And she did get close to this man and
He ended up
mhm,
committing suicide, which just pulled the
yeah,
rug out from underneath her, and she realized her own vulnerability
yeah,
of and how vulnerable adoptees are to that, right? So she wrote to Yumi, like, really well thought out
yes.
letter. I'd like to know who my birth father is, and it's time. Or
You can picture the care she must have put into it. Look how she writes
hmm
her book, right?
yeah,
And the
and
outcome was ugly.
then it was really ugly. Yumi didn't respond until months later. She finally got a typewritten letter where, Yumi was furious, wouldn't answer her question, and said she never wanted to hear from her again. Like that was it.
It's it's so just for wanting to know who your father is.
Hmm. Wanting to complete the picture of who you
Yeah.
are, that kept, actually, I think Susan and I talked about the
Hmm.
privilege of being kept, a kept privilege. So Yumi had kept privilege. Like it didn't maybe understand on a deep level that longing and need to know who you are because she knows who she is. So
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then it turns out Mika
Oh,
stopped talking to her and Kaz, and it was
yeah.
just like a
She went through some suicidal ideation with it,
mm-hmm,
picturing herself. I've had that. I'm sure we've all had that, picturing yourself going off the cliff while you're driving or
mm-hmm.
what.
Yes, for sure. Like I've
Uh-huh.
definitely,
It was
definitely.
interesting. I talked to a friend of mine recently, a very good friend who was like, I've never had that. I'm like, I've always had that.
Oh yeah.
Like I used to dream about, like, yeah, it's interesting because I don't know that I told a lot of people that. Maybe nobody ever
Yeah, I've never
tell
really.
this. But I used to, it's something I used to ponder often. In fact, it would comfort me in a weird way, you know?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I understand.
I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this. Well, so then she has like a heartbeat is the last one. And it is sad. Part two, this whole thing is heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
She has, what, remind me.
She's doing, she goes to that barn with the learning this Japanese dance, and then
All right.
the two teachers, have bring an infant one day, and the
Yeah.
infant is crying, and the mother is too busy,
That
and so
was
it's
very
just kind of,
strange to me, actually.
yeah, and I wondered, which is maybe Susan will answer this, but if there was, to me, it felt like it was kind of a comparison of, okay, that these people haven't lost a child or given up a child or been given up, or so
Yes.
it's just kind of like, oh, that baby's fine,
Crying and crying and
crying and
crying.
crying, and so Susan ends up, for hours walking and comforting the baby and speaking to the baby in Japanese, and there's some sort of deep catharsis maybe for her, I
Hmm.
felt, in doing that. Because then
Yeah.
that was the end of part two, and now we're into part three, the end. And I really think we've only got 2 more weeks,
Yeah. 2 more weeks. And then our
2 more weeks,
finale was Susan.
and then our finale of Susan. So we'll be reading A Small Hole, Spit, and I Would Meet You at the Ferry Building.
I love all the I would meet you
I
once.
would meet you. I do too.
And now we can
So,
speak to Ken, who is in New York with us.
uh-huh. Yeah, Ken.
It's pretty exciting.
Okay, so we'll see you in a minute.
See you in a minute.